today I'm going to be making a recipe for vanilla ice cream. I've made it before and it was really good, by Emma Christensen. It's on thekitchen.com and it works super well. We have raw milk and we have our own chickens, so we really like making recipes that use up eggs and use up milk, and this one also uses some cream. So to start out, I've got 2/3 cup of granulated sugar. I've already put that in here, and I'm about to crack 4 eggs in here to get the egg whites in here for me to use later for a angel food cake, and then I'll put the yolks in here. So it says to stir until your sugar egg yolk mixture is pale. So I think that's just going to be us stirring and stirring and stirring until we whip more air into it. So it's obviously like a nice mustardy color right now, and it's getting lighter as we stir it. I know I always have that dishwasher going in the background of every cooking video, but it's because I do these recipe videos while the kids are napping. Well, the big kids do a quiet time to themselves, and then the toddler's napping. And so I do this so that I'm not ignoring them when they're up. And this is also the time when I do laundry and dishes, and so the dishwasher is running and the washing machine is running. And so, sorry it's always so noisy. You'll have to excuse my quiet voice and just read the captions or something. Okay, so that's pretty pale. So, and I have a KitchenAid ice cream maker, and so I just keep that permanently in the freezer so it's ready when I need it. So we did that. Now I'm gonna warm the milk. So I'm gonna get 1.5 cups of milk and put it in this pot over medium heat. I do not have a vanilla pod, so I'll be just putting a little dash of vanilla after we're done heating it up, because you don't want to put your plain vanilla just straight into a pot when you're heating it up, because that's going to kind of mess up the flavor a little bit. You want to put it in after it's done heating up, unless you're doing like they say and using a vanilla bean, then yes, you'll have to put it in so it can heat up and release its flavor, but we're not doing that today. Okay, cool. So we're gonna put 1.5 cups of milk in there. So this is our milk. You can see it's separated out there because this is raw milk, so the cream is separated. So I'm gonna shake it really good. So I'm not just putting straight cream in there. I'm gonna turn my small burner up to medium heat. Woo. This spout was from Amazon. It is it's the County Line Kitchen brand, and it works super, super well with these half-gallon jars. Well, that was too much milk. Okay. So 1.5 cups of milk. I'm putting it in the pot. You can't see that, sorry. And I'm going to save this for when I put my cream in it. Bring it to a simmer and then remove from heat. So I will see you shortly when this milk starts to simmer. So my milk is simmering. I'm going to turn the heat off and scoot it over off of the heat. Just want to make sure it's not scalding on the bottom. Just gonna stir it for a minute and keep it off of heat. Okay, now we have to add a little bit of that mixture to our egg and sugar to temper it. So basically bring that egg up to a little bit higher temperature without, we don't want to cook the egg at all. We just want to heat it. So right now we're kind of getting it warmed up so that when we add it to our milk, it's not going to immediately cook. Because the first time I made this recipe, I overdid my base. When I added it to the milk, I like heated it for too long, and it completely cooked my egg, and they said fine. It just was like such a weird texture. I'm gonna put this back on this burner. I'm gonna get my thermometer. Just gonna set it there. Heat and just stir in our egg and sugar and milk mixture, and then I'm going to take the temperature, and once it hits 170, then I'll know that we are good. We're somewhere around 120. So I'm just stirring with this, make sure I'm getting all the sides, I'm getting the bottom, because we do not want it to scald. You'll notice as you go that this is going to get thick, and it'll start to coat your spatula. Obviously we're not there yet. And that's just as that egg starts to thicken, we get some evaporation going, the egg is gonna, like, you know, thicken in there more. We're basically making a custard, or like a pudding kind of. So we're just gonna keep doing this till it gets thick. This technically is not a raw milk recipe. Yes, I used raw milk in the beginning, but we're heating it high enough that it's considered, you know, kind of pasteurized, so it's not raw anymore. We've, you know, obviously cooked all those proteins and enzymes, so we're not going to have the same probiotic benefits from the raw milk, or any of the lactase that was present in there. We're not going to have any of that. So obviously for people that are going to be a little more lactose intolerant and stuff, this is going to be a little less gentle on their tummy, but it is going to be delicious. So you can see it's getting a lot thicker. It's still at like 155 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're not quite there, but we're getting really close. So I'm gonna turn this down super low. Ignore the oranges. Super low there. And I'm just gonna keep stirring, scraping the sides, scraping the bottom, because we do not want to overcook this. And if I start to see any like texture change, like it starts to look kind of bumpy or gritty, I'm going to immediately stop because I do not want to overdo it. I think we're about there. It's starting to coat the spatula almost, and I would just rather it be underdone than overdone. Gonna give it a couple more seconds and stirs. Okay, I'm gonna take off the heat now. And if you're using vanilla or imitation vanilla, now is your time. If you're using an actual vanilla bean, then you should have added this at the beginning. But I'm just gonna do a splash of imitation vanilla right now. It's crazy how the vanilla makes it go from like just a very plain, eggy, milky kind of smell to like suddenly now it smells like vanilla ice cream. It's really crazy how much that does. It smells really good. The egg and the heavy cream just really give it such a good, like, thick creaminess. So now I'm going to pour, this is my 1.5 cups of heavy cream. So I'm going to pour this in here. The recipe says to put your whatever cup you're pouring it all into, to put that into an ice bath, but I'm like really lazy and I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to. So now I'm gonna take my sieve, whatever, and we're gonna filter this into it. This is pig food, pig snacks, so ignore that. We're gonna act like we're healthy for a second as we make this vanilla ice cream. I feel like this could be a little on the thin side, but I'd much rather be thin than be gritty like the first time I ruined it. So I'm going to pour it through here. And this is kind of a stage where, like, if you overcooked it, this is when it'll be really obvious. So all these little thick pieces are what got kind of overcooked. And like the first time I did this, the whole thing was those thick pieces. So that's why, like, the recipe says go to 170, but we were still right above 155, and we still have some bits that didn't get totally, you know, prevent it from getting, like, basically what happens is it gets hot enough that it basically becomes like scrambled eggs in your ice cream base, and that would be disgusting, so we don't want that. I'm just gonna take my whisk, give it a little mixy mix. And it's looking like it's gonna rain. So now I've got it in here. Because that cream that I did was cold from the fridge, this is not hot. Like, it's not too warm, it's not hot. So I'm gonna put saran wrap over the top and then put it in the fridge. I think it says to do about 4 hours. I'm gonna do mine overnight just to make sure it's completely cold. So that way when we use our KitchenAid ice cream maker, we're not gonna take forever to make it. We're not gonna bring down the temperature of the maker too much. The KitchenAid ice cream maker, it comes with basically it's like a canister, and it has like some kind of gel or something on the inside that's the part that freezes and gets cold. And so with any ice cream maker, you don't want to put it in there room temp, because then all your ice or whatever is not going to be able to get it cold enough to freeze everything to become ice cream. So I'm just going to get some saran wrap and put that in the fridge. This is the KitchenAid ice cream maker. I can't remember if it's the exact KitchenAid brand, or if it's a different brand, but I can share the link. It was the cheaper of whatever the options were. It works pretty easily. You set it on here. It's kind of finicky. And then like the other bowls that go in the KitchenAid, you push it to the right and that tightens it up. You definitely want to have it nice and tight. So it has been in the freezer for weeks. I just keep it in there all the time. As soon as I'm done making my ice cream, I wash it really quick, and then I immediately dry it and put it back in the freezer, so that the bowl's on there. If it's not frozen, you'll hear the like gel or whatever's inside of it sloshing around, but when it's frozen you can't hear it. So this is the part that attaches to the top. There's an arrow right there, and that arrow needs to point towards this arm here. So it just pushes on somewhat snug, and then this sits down in your bowl, and you'll see as you lower this, it kind of like aligns and comes together. Then you're gonna lock your KitchenAid. This is the KitchenAid Ultra Power Plus. It's a few years old. And then you turn it on. It's very loud. So the next clip I'll show you me churning the ice cream. And I probably will not be speaking much in that one. If I do, it will be minimal just because it is pretty loud. I wouldn't do this when kids are napping unless your kids are on a different level of your home or they are the heavy sleepers. But you can see it just spins around. At the beginning, your batter is still gonna be really liquidy. It's gonna look like this, like it's gonna look like nowhere near enough batter. But as it churns, it starts to freeze and it expands a lot. And by the end, it'll be like coming up over this edge here, and it'll be a lot. So I would not double the recipe or anything like that. Go with what the recipe says, because if you do too much, it's going to be overflowing out the top. I've made that mistake, and then it makes this thing a whole mess, and it's gross. When you're done, wash it as soon as it's finished. I just use like really hot water just to rinse it out really good, then just go in there with some soapy water, wipe it off. It comes clean really easily just because it doesn't have anything cooked onto it. You just have to melt it and it rinses right off. And then I put it straight back in the freezer because it needs to freeze for at least like I think 18 hours is what it recommends in the little manual. I just leave mine in there all the time. My deep freezer has a bunch of like frozen seasoned meat and like onions. It's bagged very well, but just those smells are pretty prevalent in our deep freezer. So I keep this in our regular freezer where I don't have frozen onions because I'm scared that some of that smell is gonna get on the surface of the inside, and then I'm gonna churn my ice cream and it's gonna be disgusting. You could probably wrap this in a bag or something to prevent some of that. I haven't had any flavor issues. The ice cream doesn't taste like the freezer. It's not weird. Also, you'll see in a bit, I use some reusable ice cream cartons off of Amazon, and they work super well. But I still, even though they have a silicone airtight lid, I still recommend when your ice cream finishes from here, take some parchment paper or saran wrap and press it to the surface of your ice cream, and then just let it come up over the edge, and you can close your lid on it, because as it first, you're gonna need it to freeze a few hours after you churn it here. This is gonna be like soft serve. You could eat it, but it's not gonna have that firm texture. So then you're gonna freeze it for 3 or 4 hours. And you don't want it to get ice crystals on top. And you can keep some saran wrap or whatever on top all the time, but I don't usually do that after we've cut into it. And you'll see in the next clip, or not the next clip, the one after that, where I'm showing you the ice cream we finished, we had already dipped into it. This is all after the fact. Ice cream does not keep around here, even for video purposes. I cannot keep hands out of the ice cream. So I will see you in just a moment, and we'll be churning some ice cream. This is the ice cream that I made. So you can see I put in some I froze some turtle ice cream and chopped it and put it in there. Put in pecans, chocolate chips, and as I poured it in here, I poured in a little layer of the ice cream from the machine, then a little layer of caramel, and then more ice cream and more caramel, and then the last bit of ice cream. Then I topped it with more of the toppings. You can see here, this is our finished product. The ice cream turned out really good. It usually does. You can obviously put whatever toppings you want on top. You can put more syrup, like caramel syrup or whatever, but it's up to you. Enjoy.